You're listening to the Enhance Learner Voice podcast. I am your host, Rachel Ryan, the Head of Communications at EACEA, the National Adult Learning Organisation in Ireland. In this podcast series, we'll be hearing real stories from adult learners involved in community and adult education across Europe. The podcast is part of the Enhance project, a European Commission-funded initiative that brings together partners from all over Europe. And through this project, we're developing tools and strategies that support educators, organisations and policymakers to place learner voice at the heart of adult education. And we really believe that learner stories and voice really matter and can inspire others to learn, to teach and lead in more inclusive and empowering ways. Well, on today's episode, I am thrilled to be joined by Anne Moran. She is an adult learner from Women's Tech in Belfast. Anne, you're very welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for having me.
We're delighted to have you here, and thank you for making the journey from Belfast to Dublin today.
My pleasure.
It all went well?
It was lovely. Nice journey.
Good. Brilliant. So, Anne, I think what other learners really like to hear from, and practitioners and educators, they love to hear a real, authentic adult learning story. And you certainly have one of those for us today. We're going to be hearing all about your time with Women's Tech in Belfast. Mm-hmm. But first, I kind of want to go back because I feel a lot of adult learners have quite varied experiences of education in their early years, you know, in school, primary school, secondary school. So maybe tell us a little bit about your experience, your early experience with education and how that was for you.
Well, my school, I didn't do great in school. I didn't particularly enjoy school. I didn't particularly hate it. It was something I had to do. And I just coasted my way throughout my school years and attended as we do. I didn't really work, didn't have much interest. I just got through it. I was very surprised at 16 to discover that I had passed all 8 subjects that I was studying with reasonable grades. So I thought, well, there's something there, you know, but that was my early education.
Okay, so you took part in education and you did it, but you weren't overly enthusiastic about it.
Not a bit.
And do you think that's because of the teachers or the environment, or why do you think that was?
It's probably a mixture of a lot of things. As you say, possibly some teachers do stand out as being, well, actually some teachers stand out as being excellent and motivating, and other teachers stand out as being just, shall we say, not good. So lots of things, but also myself, I just didn't have that yearn or nothing appealed. Maybe in later years I think I just didn't have the kind of maturity or whatever it was. Formal education did not work for me, put it like that.
And were there particular subjects or topics that you found difficult?
I don't think I really found any of them difficult, but I don't think I was really bothered about any of them. So it didn't. I have no memory of actually being enthused or not enjoying. I just got on with it. It was just, I just did it. So no peaks or troughs.
So I assume then, Anne, that going on to more education after school was not really something that was top of your mind.
Absolutely not. I couldn't wait to start work, which I did. And I went into work and then I got married and had a baby. At which stage I thought, well, I want to do something now because it's a bit like nothing's much is happening except looking after the baby. So,
and what age were you when you had your baby?
I was 22.
Okay. And what age were you when you left school?
I was 16.
Okay. And did you go straight into work then?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay. And would that have been the norm, like in those days? Like it was get straight into the workplace environment?
Absolutely. Yes. And I enjoyed that. Yeah, it was great. So I stopped working by the time I'd my wee son, 1980. And I started then exploring to see what could I do, anything, rather than just be at home with the baby. But there was nothing. There was no childcare. There were night classes, which didn't suit. It doesn't suit to have night classes when you've got a baby to look after and feed and put to bed. But anyway, so it was much later on that, I suppose about 5 years, that I actually did start in education again. I did various little courses, the main one being in University of Ulster, which was, if I remember correctly, was access to education, something along those lines. It was a sort of a taster of what subjects were available in university, so you could explore what subjects you enjoyed, or you might think about exploring more of. So it was very, very interesting.
It was kind of like a taster for different things that are available.
It was.
And can I just ask you, Anne, just before you got to the University of Ulster, like when you had your son and all of a sudden you weren't working anymore, there wasn't a lot going on, was there an expectation at that time that you wouldn't work? And like did you feel like that was the end of your working career and your educational career? Like was there a time when you just thought, okay, well, God, I'm 22 and is that it?
Yeah, vaguely kind of like that. I think in a lot of cases it was the norm in those days, and it sounds so old-fashioned now, and like, really, because that was not always the norm, but most people in those days would have stopped working to look after their family, home and family. So, but it wasn't enough for me. I needed more.
You needed another outlet.
I needed more.
So tell me then how you discovered about this course in Ulster University. Like, was there something advertised? Did you hear about it from a friend? How did it all come about?
Do you know, I couldn't honestly tell you. That's a good question because I can't really remember. But possibly I would think the library. I would say, just thinking back to those days, whereas that's the place I would have spent a lot of time in, and they would have had a lot, and libraries are great for information. So I would say more than likely the library had information on the course. I think I went to an information day and then enrolled, and it was wonderful.
And I believe one of the brilliant things about this course that allowed you to do it is that there was childcare.
There was a creche on site.
So the whole time you were in classes, you knew your son was being taken care of.
Just a 5-minute walk away, fabulous creche, happy child, happy mummy, happy learner. It was wonderful. Yeah, and fascinating too, because once you know that your child is okay and happy, I don't like to say forget about them, but you can concentrate on what I was doing.
Absolutely. I'd say, and was that a deciding factor in you taking up the course? Like,
Absolutely.
if that had not been an option, the course wouldn't have been an option?
No, definitely not. No.
And that's interesting because, it's still an issue that affects a lot of adult learners today.
I know. It's incredible. That's 45 years ago. And we still have a lack of childcare.
It was quite ahead of its time in some ways.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
And tell us then about the actual course itself, and like, what were you learning? Do you remember the modules?
Lovely. Yeah, I do, because it was all the lovely stuff that I like. There was English literature, there was psychology, sociology, those kind of what people call soft subjects. Well, but the kind of subjects, social type subjects. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyable. It was great.
And did that give you a bit of a bug then to continue learning?
Absolutely. Yes, it did. Because I then went on because the encouragement factor was wonderful. I didn't feel, well, the tutors at that stage were encouraging me and my fellow students to sign up to do a degree course. Now, they were saying, you're perfectly capable. But at that stage, I thought, it's biting off a little bit. Let's just calm
Slow it down.
here. So I went back to do GCSE, sort of O-level type. I did psychology, English and maths, and thoroughly enjoyed it. Completed those, got my qualifications, and then all the time confidence is building. You're out, shall we say, in the world. You're meeting with people that just have such a great positive effect on your life, which of course feeds back into your home, your family and friends, your whole life, because you feel empowered. So then sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so it doesn't impact just yourself for the better. It has a much wider impact on your family and friends and
all around. Yes, the ripple, as they talk about the ripple effect. Yeah, it just spreads out all the positivity. Yeah.
And did you inspire any of your other friends to take part in it, do you think?
I'm not so much sure about, say, friends that would have been in a situation like me with young families and that, but more the friends that I made in the learning environment. We would have encouraged each other, to keep going and to do the exams, get the qualifications, and just supporting each other and encouraging. And it was lovely.
Fantastic. So you were definitely bitten by the learning bug, and it opened new doors for you. It improved your confidence, would you say, as well?
Absolutely, yes. Confidence, and just as a person you feel enriched, because plus you're part of society again, and you're doing different things, and you've different interests, different ideas. You're not just learning what you're learning in the classroom, but you're learning from your peers. So then I ended up, I started working again unexpectedly.
Okay. And was that off the back of this learning you had been doing?
It was probably through the confidence that I built up through doing the course, and just gaining some self-belief. And when I was actually approached by a friend and asked would I be interested in joining, it was actually a children's charity, as a fundraiser, and I said yes. So at that stage then I began working, and I could have kept on with the studying, but I wanted to devote my energies. I didn't want to dilute. Plus, there is you can't take on too much. Spread yourself too thin, so you lose that sort of satisfaction and spontaneity because you're just being pulled in different directions.
Absolutely. Well, it's particularly working for something like a charity. You need to really devote all your time to it.
You do.
What charity was it you're working for? It
was Bernardo's.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And what did you do there?
I was fundraising. I was a business fundraiser. So my job was, it was such a good job because I would have covered Northern Ireland, and I would have gone into places of employment, all kinds, from factories, offices, you name it, and approached decision makers, maybe the managing directors or financial director, or maybe even payroll, and asked them would they set up a payroll giving scheme to allow their employees to donate a small amount of money from their wages, which is actually quite a canny way of getting
very clever.
Yeah. So the next stage, once we would have achieved setting up that kind of payroll giving, then the next stage would have been to go and talk to employees and, shall we say, encourage them to donate through their wages. So
Fantastic. So really worthwhile. I'd say quite fulfilling job.
Very. And so many different aspects to it, because you've got people, you're meeting people all the time, all different kinds of people, and you're travelling, you're seeing the country, and you're also helping children and families. So very
So it's a
fulfilling.
win-win.
It was very good. Excellent.
So you worked in Bernardo's for a number of years, you were saying, for a long so did you work up with them until retirement?
Until retirement. Now, I did have to retire early due to ill health. So I just couldn't sustain working anymore. So unfortunately I had to give it up, but it was the right decision. And then I suppose family took over in that aging parents and one thing and another. And then we had COVID, which was
detrimental to so many in so many ways. Yeah.
What an experience COVID was for each and every one of us.
It just it shrunk everyone's world, didn't it?
It was unbelievable. Everything stopped. And so strange. Everything. Communication, family, the lot. So once COVID ended, and things started to get back to normal, and that's when I got in touch. Women's Tech had an information day or morning in one of our local community centres. That's the place for me.
Mm-hmm. So tell us, for anyone listening who has never heard of Women's Tech, what is it? What do they do there?
Yeah, Women's Tech is just a marvellous organisation based in Belfast, North Belfast. What Women's Tech do is teach women different skills in non-traditional female roles. They would do courses like plumbing, do-it-yourself, woodwork, all kinds of different manual type. Plus, on top of that, they also do the more sort of like gardening courses. They have one of the best ones is personal development, which is life enhancing for anyone that takes part in it, because it helps you gain social skills and realise your worth and your own values. Yes, it's excellent. And they also do other courses such as driving theory. They're an organisation which is very supportive towards women. They have a creche, they have a food bank, and they also are caring in that if any woman has any issue, no matter what it is, you can go to certain members of Women's Tech and they will help you and they will signpost you to organisations who can help you with whatever circumstances you find yourself in.
It sounds like a fantastic organisation and all about empowering women. I think interesting that you say there's a lot of courses in those more manual jobs, like manual skills and DIY and roles that maybe traditionally men would take on or women for some reason feel that they can't do.
That's right.
So do you think they're trying to kind of flip that mindset for people?
Of course they are. Yes, they are. They run courses. They go into schools to primary school children, especially girls. They do courses called Not Just for Boys.
Oh, I love that. That's brilliant.
Not just for boys. And there's lovely on their website, you'll see lovely images of these children. I don't know if they like to be called children, but using drills and doing woodwork and building things, and it is empowering.
It is empowering. It's so important. I was just saying the other day, I wish I had more DIY skills. I just don't have them, and I wish I was better at it. So I might have to go up to Women's Tech.
You might have to go. You might have to go to Women's Tech. Yeah.
And what particular courses did you or do you participate in Women's Tech, Anne?
Well, I started off in Women's Tech doing the woodwork, and I realised that it wasn't, shall we say, my forte. I was very good at sanding, wooden things, but other women in that class, the things they were making, it was incredible. Just, they would get a piece of wood, but I know it wasn't really for me. It was more the social aspect of it I enjoyed, and that kind of thing. Then I did a gardening course. Loved it. I love gardening, so that was very good. And after that led to personal development courses, which I just completely right up my street. Fantastic.
Brilliant. And you mentioned there, because I think when adult learners hear about going back to education, and obviously part of what you're going to learn is a new skill, or, you might get a qualification, and that's all really important and empowering as well. But you mentioned there, which I think is very important, is the social aspect of adult learning and going back and meeting new people, making new friends, and perhaps connecting in with communities you wouldn't normally have, How important do you feel that part of adult learning is, that social aspect?
I think that's one of the best parts of it, because in an environment like Women's Tech, say in a classroom, you have, and it is women, I sort of think we need this, I need to get it, we need this sort of thing for men as well. I feel as if men are missing out, but I just need to put that in. But a group of women coming together from all different backgrounds, different experiences. We don't know each other. And it is incredible the way women can pull together, share experiences and knowledge, different opinions on whatever the subject is. It's all very supportive and enriching. Yeah.
That's great to hear. And, this project, the Enhance project that we're, doing the podcast as part of, it focuses a lot on learner voice, Anne, and, the importance that learners play in their own education. Is that something at Women's Tech you've experienced, or, would you be confident to share your opinions? Is there a space to share your voice and to maybe to shape the education that happens there?
I think that's one of the great aspects of the courses in Women's Tech, in that every single woman is encouraged to speak up and voice their opinions, say what they think, and with the knowledge that we are all individuals. Everybody's different. Nothing is the right answer, and every opinion is valid and valued. So yes, I think it's a very big part of it, and it is encouraged in all the courses that I've been on. Yeah,
that's great to hear. And do you think, has there been ever something you've said that sort of influenced something within the program specifically, if you can think of anything?
Well, I think sort of generally, as kind of reflecting on what I've said about encouraging other people to participate and to give their opinion. And then there's other things. For instance, Women's Tech have a food bank where, you can just, if you need it, just lift it. It's sitting there. There's bags. Just take what you need. Or on the other hand, you have extra, bring it and leave it. So one of the things I have suggested was approaching local shops for their surplus and to see if they would donate to Women's Tech, which in my opinion is just a great idea, because you've got all these women, a lot of young mothers with families, and if they hear Joe Blogg's shop down the road is donating, say, his almost out of date tomatoes and pasta or whatever, well, if they're going to think he's great, I'll go down to him and I'll do my shopping there. So
it works out for both parties.
Win-win.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So that was an idea that you had and you brought to them.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Very good. So that's your learner voice happening in action.
It is.
And as an adult learner, what does it mean to you to have your voice heard?
That is amazing, because for a start, realising that you do have a voice, that you do have an opinion, that people are interested in what you've got to say, which is like, really? And yes, I think it's very important that people are listened to. Yeah.
And I think when learners, they feel like their opinions are being taken on board and they can see the change happening before their eyes, it probably encourages them to speak up more, or other people who might be a bit shy.
That's exactly what happens, because when you're in a group setting and somebody has an opinion and states it, say you're sitting, then people will feel, well, I'm not sure about that, or maybe they'll agree. So yeah, and it does. Discussion just then evolves naturally. Yeah, very encouraging.
And I'm thinking now, Anne, of people across Europe who might be listening to this podcast, and maybe they're educators themselves, or they're part of an organisation, and they haven't really implemented learner voice, or they're just learning about it. What would you say to them to help encourage them to get their learners involved in building their courses and their programs?
Oh, that's a good one. There's just so many things. I think for building a project for learning, they need to consider, as adults, it's completely different to like a school setting. So it needs to be relaxed. It needs to be encouraging, because we're generally talking about people who have left education and who are trying to get back into it again. So it's a completely different approach to formal education.
Yes.
So it's that understanding, and simple things like providing tea and coffee, maybe even food. You need to make sure that the access, it needs to be relatively easy to get to the place. The timing has to suit, whatever the situation is. There are so many things that educators could think about that could make it easier for somebody to come back to education.
They're really, really good tips, actually. And we talk to adult learners all the time in EACEA, and I think the big thing that comes across again and again is it can't feel like school. Like, people don't want to feel like they're going to school, because more often than not they've had a negative experience of school. So would you say creating that kind of more inclusive, more open, more gentle approach to education is the best thing?
Yes, absolutely. And the approach is also with the tutors being part of the group, not so much the standing up at the blackboard kind of thing, being part of the group and learning together.
Mm-hmm.
More like focuses on leading the learning and encouraging people to think for themselves.
Yeah, they're really good tips. They're really, really good, Anne. And I'm also thinking as well about any potential learners listening to this podcast. You know, people who they kind of want to go back to education, but for so many reasons they might think, well, it's not for me, or I'm too old, or I don't have enough time, or maybe I won't have the talent, or I don't have the confidence. Would you have any advice for anyone listening about that, about, you know, how to kind of take that first step?
Oh, I have loads of advice. My main bit of advice to anybody who would have that thought in their head is, do you know what? Try it. Give it a wee go. Find a subject that you think that you will really enjoy. Just go along and see what you can find out. Even just lift a book on that subject and have a wee read at it. Go ask questions. Go and visit the venue. See if you can talk to the tutor or the people who are setting it up. Find out who else is going to be there. Don't overstretch yourself at the beginning. Just take it easy. And most of all, make sure you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, and that is key. You know,
that
enjoyment piece is absolutely key. And I can tell from talking to you today, Anne, and just looking at your face while you talk about women's tech, that you're enjoying every minute that you spend there, which is just brilliant to see. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Anne, and for making the trip from Belfast.
My pleasure.
So that was Anne Moran. She is a learner from Women's Tech in Belfast in Ireland. And if you'd like to hear any more of the Enhance podcasts or to find out more about the project, you can head along to enhancelearnervoice.com.